Ruchira and Neeraja are here. Let me quickly introduce them without any delay. Ruchira Jaitly is working as EVP Marketing at Diageo. She's built up some of the biggest brands for PepsiCo in India, like Kurkure and Mountain Dew. At Royal DSM, Ruchira created an F&B nutrition startup business unit called Mandi, then to launch portfolio of F&B solutions aimed at combating the challenge of malnutrition, and launched a B2C business, New Shakti. She's also worked with Unilever and H&D, home of Nokia phones. Ruchira is also a mentor at Vedika Women's Alliance and founder at Ashoka University, Sonipat, Haryana. Ruchira, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to Say Cheese and welcome to the launch.
Thank you. Thanks, Shreya. I'm really excited to be here. I got a sneak peek. I was listening to Kiran and my God, what energy and positivity. And like you said, what a way to not just start a Monday, but also the beginning of this year. So thanks for inviting me to be a part of this year.
Yes, and joining Ruchira and all of us is none other than Neeraja Ganesh, who's a consultant with Aspire for Her, where she mentors women aspiring to grow in their careers. She also conducts various training programs on leadership and behaviors. She switched her career to work in the space of gender diversity after a successful career in the IT industry, managing large teams, delivery of IT projects, operational excellence, and customer delight for large banking captives for 25 years. Prior to Aspire for Her, she served as the Director of Relationships at National Education Society of Karnataka. She's invited by various prestigious forums like Lean In, IEEE, PMI, TIE across the globe to deliver talks on a variety of topics. Networking for Results and How to Tell Your Story are two of her signature programs. She's currently writing her first book titled You Have Arrived, No Glass Ceilings, No Broken Rungs, No Glass Cliffs, which she believes will be a large influence on the readers, especially to young girls and women in terms of navigating their life and career successfully. She's won multiple awards, more recent being the Jobs for Her Rising Award in the Women in Impact category. And she's also been featured as one of the 40 women who've traversed their life journeys from ordinary to extraordinary in the book Magical 40 at 40. So I can't tell you how exciting this conversation is going to pan out with Ruchira and Neeraja, both of them having broken a lot of things, not just glass ceilings. So let me start off first with my first question. The whole idea of bringing both of you into this conversation was to look at unstoppable women and what these unstoppable women on their journeys can be and can be defined. So I'll start with Ruchira and come to Neeraja on this question. What are some of the things women need to take care of on this daring journey to becoming unstoppable? Or is it daring? Or what is it? Ruchira, we'll start with you and Neeraja.
You know, I don't know. And this is a question that comes to me very often when I speak to women who are starting out on their journey, Shreya, because very often when you start out, it looks like, oh my God, there's this huge mountain ahead. And how do you get through it, right? And it seems like there's so many goals. And that's the thing with, I think, women. And I'm not saying this because I don't feel for, you know, our other very compassionate gender as things go today. But I think we do take on a lot. We're already thinking ahead, right? How am I going to, and to your point, an unstoppable, what's coming in our head? Oh, I want to be unstoppable. But, you know, at some point I'll have to get married and then I have to have kids. And what am I going to do when I have kids and how will I mean, there are people who haven't got married yet who are already thinking about how they're going to balance their career when they've got 2 children, which they want. And that's right. You have to. I mean, you do want to have a full life. And I'd be the last person to say that a career is a substitute for everything else in your life. But I think the first thing that I typically say is take it one step at a time. You can't look ahead. You can't play out every scenario in your head, and that's possibly enough to get you frozen in place. And look at the time we're living in today. Did anyone know that the last 2 years are going to pan out the way they have, right? And things have happened. People have moved on. In some cases, people have saved more money than they ever thought they'd save in their lives, right? So there's always an upside to a number of things. But what my personal mantra has been, and only as a share, it's not, like I said, there are different strokes for everyone. My personal mantra has been, one, do something that you know you're going to love doing, at least while you're doing it. Things could change, but do what you love. It's a great way for you to ensure that you get that energy to wake up. There are going to be days which are slogs. There's going to be a Sunday evening where you're like, I do not want Monday to happen. But you know what? Do what you love. You'll get through that Monday, and then there'll be the Tuesday and the Wednesday when things will work out. The other thing that I think women need to cultivate is resilience. There's going to be stuff that comes at them. I think in the industrial construct, in the way that careers have panned out over the last 50 years, I think men have discovered resilience, right? I mean, they've. I mean, I look at my parents, etc. They did jobs they didn't really care about too much, but they did it because they had to get to that 60 and that retirement piece. So you have to be resilient, and if you're doing what you love, the resilience is something that will get you through those days when things don't work. And the last one that I've personally held close to me, and I've been very lucky. I mean, knock on wood, I've been really lucky in getting those experiences. Hold on to the values that empower you. And I think that's true for every individual. And none of these, by the way, are particularly gender specific. I think they just play themselves out more sharply for women. And values that empower me are values of honesty, transparency, integrity at work, working with people in a shared values construct. So it's not okay for me to be in a place where maybe that's not a given. And that, I think, again, makes me wake up and say, okay, life is going to be tough. I have a really, really difficult review. I've had a bad year at work. But you know what? I know I'm in a safe space. And for a lot of women, that's very important too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Neeraja,
Yeah. Neeraja, I know you speak so passionately about this as well. So I love the perspectives that are coming up in the conversation, but tell us a little bit. I know I even know which are the ones that you probably align and resonate with instantly. So it's exciting to hear from both of you.
Thank you. So I will start by saying that the only thing that can stop us today in having this conversation is my internet. So I hope it takes us along. Otherwise, there's nothing that can stop us. All right. So let me, answer this question, a little differently. So I think all of us think of unstoppable when the word, is said unstoppable as someone who's broken the proverbial glass ceiling and, reached heights of success as per the common definition of what success is, especially when you speak of a woman. But let me narrate the story, and it's a real story. I read it somewhere, of Sangeeta, a woman from rural Bihar, who was married off at a very young age. Okay, and she always wanted to, wear a salwar kameez, but you know how the culture was. So she wore saris as long as her husband was alive. And she had a son, and the son grew up, college, and finally the husband died, and the son went away for college. And then she decided that she is going to wear a salwar kameez. And she says, this winter, I will wear salwar kameez for the first time in my life, no matter what. The fabric is going to be Cotswool in earth colors. I know the design exactly. And I have finalized a tailor master from Thakurbari Road, Patna. And for me, that is unstoppable. The mindset of coming out of their comfort zones, daring to pursue what they strongly feel about and want to do, and in their lives and for others. So we have so many stories of this kind around us, which we do not speak about, maybe we don't even hear about, but these are the unstoppable women who have dared and from whom we need to take inspiration from. So I think that is what I would call as dare to be unstoppable.
Wow. Okay. Such interesting personal and story-based perspectives coming up there. And both of you actually answered my next question, which was, what does being unstoppable really mean to you? And that is true. One of the reasons why we call this the unstoppable woman is not because it's a hierarchy of success or a hierarchy of titles or anything. Yeah. But just the power of being unstoppable, which our mothers, our grandmothers, the women around us, are the people who help us in our homes, whether it's the nanny or the cook, they're all unstoppable in so many forms and ways. And I think that's where it comes from. Now I'm going to come and I'll switch the order. I'll start with Neeraja because this question is tying in somewhere into the confidence aspect of what you spoke about. So when women are very strong and confident at work, at times it looks very intimidating. But I love this line which says, I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated. Having said that, and if they don't do it, they receive constant feedback otherwise, right? So you're confident, then you're too confident, you're overconfident. If you're not confident, you're underconfident, you're not putting yourself out there. What are your thoughts on how to create that balance? So I'll come to you, Ruchira, after Neeraja. Neeraja, go.
Yeah. No, this is a hard one, truly. But again, I will just, put out my perspective from my experiences, right? So when I was many, many years ago just stepping into the middle management, and you know how organizations are, they identify these high potential, leaders and then they will put them through some intervention so that they can kind of be prepared for the tomorrow. So we were, can you just give me a minute? Just a minute, I'm so sorry. Sorry, so these are all the things that will happen when we have to keep going. So I was saying, they had put us through this cohort of people. It's a mixed cohort, men and women, through an intervention. Usually they will do an assessment center and a development center. Assessment center is to kind of assess what you're good at and areas of improvement, and then put you through that journey of improving on those. And they did a 360-degree feedback. And one feedback that came my way was that Neeraja is aggressive. And I just couldn't figure this out, right? Young girl, and from where, what about me is aggressive? So I went around asking everyone in the organization, my peers and superiors and all of that. So tell me, because I really want to work on this. I don't want to be aggressive. And nobody would answer. They said, no, it was not me who gave that feedback. So with that much of difficulty, I decided to go to a very senior person in the organization, the business unit head. He was not my manager or anything like that, but I said, I don't know how to deal with this. And he said, why should you bother about it? And I said, no, it bothers me because it's continuously on my head. And hence, I'm doing very differently, performing very differently today. And he said, that's what is going to happen. If you're going to listen to everyone else and then try to mold yourself into something that the rest of the world wants you to be like, you're never going to grow. In fact, you'll be stifled. So just accept it. Be aware that there are people who think of you as aggressive, and maybe do a little bit extra in terms of maybe going around the table, when you are in meetings, asking everyone for their point of view and explaining why you took a certain decision, even if it doesn't, kind of go with the rest of the majority, but just go about doing what you want to do. And this man was known to be an extremely aggressive leader. Okay. But I would see that he was a visionary, and that's why we thought he's aggressive. He could see things and he would, implement things much, way ahead of time for himself. And I'll stop the story by also narrating. When I went into the development center, there was this lady who was driving it. And I said, I don't know how to deal with this, despite having got this message from the big boss. And she said, Neeraja, when I came to address all of you before we got into this program to tell you how this is going to run, I found you intimidating. And I said, what about me? Because, I remember in that meeting, I didn't even speak. I was very quiet because everyone else had asked their questions. I got my answers. She said, I think because you were the only woman in the room. And whether you like it or not, the eyes will go on to that minority. Despite me being a woman, I kept focusing on you. So even if the rest of the table was behaving in the same manner as you, sitting like you and all of that body language, I was observing you more. So what I would like to tell everyone is be aware that this is going to happen, and don't get this as a bias in your head, because the minute you are biased, they are telling me this because I'm a woman. This feedback is coming to me because I'm a woman. If I say this, that's how they are going to react. You're really not going to contribute how you would actually contribute. So be aware. And sometimes you may have an opportunity to clear those biases for the rest of them. But do that, help them understand that, and move on, because you have to contribute for what you are and who you are. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Okay, Ruchira, coming to you now.
So first of all, I'd say that Neeraja, you pretty much nailed most of it. The situations we've been through in life. Let me tell you, I was in sales and I was told, ma'am, by my boss, madam, you're too soft. You're not getting the numbers done. Right? I think I need to address your team. And I looked at him and I said, what? I mean, for me, that was crushing. This was a year into my role. And I was like, I was out to prove that I could be that person. And here's someone saying, you're too soft. Let me speak to your team and get things done. And on the other hand, I move into a different role into brands and HR, and I'm told you're intimidating or you're too aggressive, not assertive. Assertive is different, Ruchira, aggressive. And so we've been there. So first of all, the thing I want to give everyone is, and we did this as part of my management course, and I think that gave me great context, which I hang on to. A lot of the way you're perceived is situational, is cultural, in what culture you're in. The same thing that you do in Bombay versus I used to handle sales in Uttar Pradesh, right? So very different contexts. I mean, same country, language, broadly, etc. And the third one is your role. As you start in a certain role, people will expect you to behave in a certain way. When you get to a certain role, people, on the other hand, expect you to behave in a different way. How you flex yourself in that is very important. That's true for every individual. It's not just true for women. Okay, so as an individual, how you flex the way you behave in every single context, situation, and the role that you're playing in that room at that moment is probably what's going to define success for you. That being said, I have had someone whom I believe was one of my biggest, sponsors, not just a mentor, turn on and say, Ruchira, don't walk into the room assuming you've got to win every battle. It's fine. You can let a couple of them slide. You can, it's okay. You don't have to. And I remind myself of that sometimes. And I think things are not going the way I wanted them to, because it's not, it's at the end of the day, it's a team effort. I think the one thing to do in such situations is, and which is what I have done, is ask for feedback actively, not because you're being told you're aggressive or assertive or not, but because the moment you ask for it, you're getting the other person also to be a part of your journey. Okay, male, female, again, this is again gender neutral. And I've had the best women bosses who've been equally blunt when they've given feedback to me as the male bosses. Equally, finally, you do you. There is no other way of doing it. You have to figure out what that context is, what role you're playing, and how you're going to get there. And you have to be yourself. There is no option, right? I think, and I'm going to put myself out there a little bit. A lot of the people I have worked with have never had a woman tell them what to do. That's the bottom line. It's true. It's true in this country. And, they've never had women working. They've got their own preconceived notions, just like I do about, I don't know, someone coming from some part of the country or not. These are the these are biases that are deeply seated, which we are all unaware of, right? So, roll with the situation, roll with the context, roll with the cultural piece, but be yourself. And sometimes there's going to be conflict. So get the feedback. Say, what could I have done better in that situation? Don't be afraid of that feedback, and don't use it as a way to change everything about you. This is me. Maybe in this context, I could have played it differently without letting go of my identity. It's not easy, but you know what? I think people are getting used to it. I think a lot of people, for example, we're getting our house renovated, and the contractor, and construction is a business which is inherently male dominated, right? You walk into the house, people who are working in the house are only men. And the contractor actually came back and said, ma'am, it's so much easier to work with you, with your husband, it's so tough. He's very unreasonable. So I'm like, dude, I'm delighted. Thank you. And here I thought that they had a problem with me telling them what to do. So it's all about role, culture, context. And then on the end of it all, you've got to be authentic. So be your authentic self.
Wow. Yes, I think to that, I mean, I hate the fact that this conversation has only 30 minutes left, but I love everything that both of you are saying, because there's so many things there. They're often, taught to be people pleasing, the fact that we have to cater to everybody's every need, which is impossible in itself. The whole authenticity piece, I keep telling people, I don't have a game face or a mask. This is it. What you see is what you get. There is no this phase and that phase. It's too much effort. A lot of times, a lot of us are putting effort into building that pretension of being somebody who we aren't. And I think there's so much of relevance in both of what both of you said. And now, Ruchira, I'll start with you. And now we'll quickly go into a rapid fire-ish sort of mode, so I can ask you both all of the questions that I have. What do you see as the value women leaders bring to the table? And Neeraja, I'll come to you on this one as well next. So Ruchira, we'll start with you and then.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think leadership models are essentially leadership models. I hate this whole men versus women thing, because I think somewhere it kind of, boxes men and women into roles that they believe they have to play. And we're all about breaking those stereotypes, right? So, I mean, but that being said, I think women, by nature of everything that we've had to deal with culturally and otherwise, women tend to be, I think, a little more aware of just the other context, the larger context. I mean, and I'm not saying, and these are the women I have worked with, the women whom I've been very fortunate to work with. I think women have been tremendous sponsors and mentors for me in my career as well. So I think one, they're more aware of what happens around. So, when you're juggling child, school, this, that, the other. It does. I've always find that women, you could have it the other way, I guess, but that's worked for me. The other one, I think women are they do build a slightly more, they build more consensus. They are more about getting people together. They are about, working with certain values and frameworks versus, and again, I hate these generalizations, guys. So I, for everything I'm saying now, I know that there are men who I know who equally embody all of these values. The biggest thing that women leaders can do, and I'd rather frame it like that, which is what can women leaders do that I think women leaders can give a very, very much, much needed, role model advocacy. And I know it sounds very tedious. It sounds very like, why do I have to do more? Because I think that's the only way you learn. My mom worked when I was growing up, all my years. And she was in a fairly high stress job. So for me, I mean, she was that role model that taught me that you could do it all, right? And having conversations with her even today. And today I asked her, I said, how did you do it? There were no mobile phones. There was, how did you manage to call us every time we came back from school and stuff like that? Which, by the way, I never did with my daughter. But her point of view was, well, I just did it. And sometimes you just get on with it. Those conversations are really important to hanging in there, because what I worry about is the leaky pipeline on women leadership. The leaky pipeline is so massive. So my earnest entreaty to women is, hang in there, find people whom you can talk to. And if you think you need a woman role model who you'd like to talk to, share your experiences with, kind of share the load, take it on, and hang in there. Because what I hate is the fact that we don't give enough of a leg up sometimes, and then people kind of just about. And that's
Yeah, leg up. I think that's so true. Neeraja, coming to you. And I agree, because I think the trope that we're constantly caught in, it's become an us versus them. And that is unnecessary. But I also see what you're saying in terms of what is it that we can do to break that in some form. Because all of us are more conscious of it because we're at some form at the receiving end of, in some way.
Yes.
So yeah, what do we do to change the narrative? So Neeraja, over to you.
Yeah, so I'll keep it very short, right? So I'll speak about the other side, while whatever Ruchira said is definitely needed. But I think I also want to speak about this. We'll quote Michelle Obama, former US First Lady. She said, if you have a seat at the table, speak up. And shame on us if we sit by and let an imposter talk us down. If we don't speak up, our voices are never involved in the process of problem solving, and we don't get to the right answers. So she says, I'm constantly telling young women to speak up and talk. Don't waste your seat at the table. If you're scared to use your voice, then you have to get up and let someone else in there who's going to use it. And so anyone who has a seat at the table, including the seat on online platforms like this and on social media, need to contribute to the discussion, lead the discussion, influence the discussion. Being a woman is not only about the gender that you own, but also the uniqueness that you have in you, in your thoughts, your perspectives, and hence bring that on. Otherwise, as Obama said, vacate that seat, and someone else who will do justice to having that seat should be given that seat.
Hey, yay to that. I think, again, such snippets of insight there. And now, Neeraja, I'm going to do a quick, sort of a rapid fire. 2 short questions, and Ruchira, I'll come to you. Neeraja, how can women work across the divides of opinion? I know it's a tough one and it's a long answer, but if you were to give 3 snippeted responses to that, how can women do that?
So I think it is all about building the trust, right? Quickly, I again narrate, and I'm always a storyteller because that I think, gives that impact much better. So when I had to work with this French man, after the entire project that he was carrying on in Paris was transformed and, transitioned to Bangalore, there was only one piece that he was holding on to. And for us to be able to do a release, I'm talking the IT jargon, right? Do a release in production, that one thing that his team was holding on to had to be done prior to us doing something. And we tried reaching that man, somebody, his team member, but we just couldn't get that going. So I was very new to this team. I, in my own style, wrote out an email to this person saying, if you don't do that on time, we can't deliver on time. And I marked this big Frenchman, the big boss, and my boss. The Frenchman immediately responded in big, bold letters. You do not ask my team member to work for you. Full stop. That's it. That's all the email had. And everyone in my team came running to me because I was new. They were there for a longer time. They said, this is not the way you communicate, Neeraja. We told you, French, and he's unhappy that everything went to Bangalore. Well, what else can I do? I'm telling the whole world we can't deliver. Next minute, the work got done. This guy did his work and we did our release. The following month, this French guy came to Bangalore, and 2 weeks I sat with him and, tried to absorb everything that he knew, because he's a powerhouse of information. He's been driving this project for years, right? I sat down and absorbed everything. And before he left, I asked him, I said, I thought you were going to fight with me, but you're so cooperative. I mean, everything that I asked for, you just gave it to me on a platter. Was quite surprising. And he said, Neeraja, on day one, when I walked in, I saw you how you were dealing with the team. The way you did not wear the hat of being, I was working at Capgemini, you did not wear the hat of the client. You just wore the hat of a delivery manager and were asking the right questions openly, transparently to deliver the project successfully. I knew you're the right person for the job. And then I decided I'm going to support you and not fight you. So I think that's how you build trust and relationships. Most important to kind of get everything done at home also and at work.
Woohoo! Okay. And the second question, Neeraja, this is a one-line answer. How can women navigate power structures?
I think it's the same thing. For me, it is to build that trust, and it will take some time. So don't go gung-ho and say, I am the new daughter-in-law here and I want to transform this house into whatever. I am the new leader here and this is the way things happen. You have to let everyone else do their way. On the side, do your way. Prove that, you have it, and they will, see what you can. Like this Frenchman, right? He saw me doing it, and you will be able to get your way.
Woohoo! Okay. Ruchira, your 2 questions. What were the pivotal moments in your career that contributed to your success?
Yeah, one, when you say that, I believe like my pivotal moments are yet to come. But the best is yet to come. My point, my thing was one, I've always believed in doing the hard yards earlier. Don't hold back. Whether it was doing sales, putting your hand up for the toughest geographies, don't worry. I'm not worried about where I'm going to go. Or recently moving to a tech company after doing CPG, where there were so many times when I was told, oh, you don't know this, and I'm like, hey, yeah, but I'm here to learn. So I think one is take on the challenges, and that's always worked for me. Because then you work hard, you do the prep, it works. The other one, the pivotal moments I'd say is, and I'd say this again, I've had the most amazing women leader bosses, managers, or, skip managers, in fact. They've recruited me, they've carried me, to new roles. So shout out to them, yeah. I mean, I don't think that men have taken as many risks on me as the women have, women leaders. A lot of us say, oh, women are so tough to work with. It's been the absolute opposite for me. So I have, that's something that's always stayed with me, and I just hope I can pass that on, to people I work with, to give them the kind of opportunities. So pay that forward.
Yay. What does it take to be committed and engaged in being unstoppable?
Well, I hate to say this, takes a lot of hard work. There's no substitute for it. Neeraja, you're laughing because all of us know it, right? We've got 5 other things happening, and then you've got to go and do things in there. And it's like my mom-in-law looked at me and said, I have to, you're a very hard worker. And I didn't think it was a compliment. But I think what she meant was she saw me, if I said I'm going to do something, I have to do it, right? So I think it takes hard work. It takes resilience. And I've used that word. It's a very big word. It's a very big word. It means gritting yourself, holding your gut feels like shit because you're like, sorry for the language, but you've got butterflies the size of dinosaurs. You don't like where you're at, but you're going to hang in there. And there are days when I felt like quitting, and I said, you know what? So-and-so is not going to be the person that makes me quit. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to succeed at it, and then I'll quit on my own terms if I have to. So I think sometimes resilience, and by the way, I didn't quit then because I turned it around and I was in a happy space. But my point is, it takes resilience and it takes hard work. At the same time, like I said, you do you. If you can't do it, move on, be happy with it, right?
Yes.
So there's so many opportunities today. And forums like this, I think it gives the language, which I have to say, when I started out, didn't exist. So in a way, it's just listen to Neeraja, listening to you, listening to, before this Kiran. it's just marvelous. Like when she talks about hugging people and saying, or just telling someone that you love them, or this is language that's new, that it didn't exist when I started working. So use all
Absolutely.
these resources, and you know what? You'll find your place. You'll find your place in the sun.
Wow. Okay. I want to keep this going, but we're at time. And Neeraja and Ruchira, we spoke about resilience, about trust, about challenges, about hard work, stories, personal, so much. So everybody who's watching us live, enjoying this conversation as much as saying that thank you so much for joining us. I think Say Cheese is so much more today because of all of you joining us and having this conversation with us. Thank you, Ruchira and Neeraja. You guys are truly inspiring in every form and way of the word. And we'd love to bring you back over and over into Say Cheese for many more of these conversations. It's thank you from us, and thank you for those lovely snippets, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. And thank you, Rajpreet, for this forum. And Neeraja, lovely to connect with you virtually, but hope to meet you guys in a more physical world at some point. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Someday. Stay safe. And thank you, Rajpreet. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Say Cheese. We'll keep saying cheese.
I would also like to extend my vote of thanks. I think, Ruchira, first to you. I think this is your second appearance on the Say Cheese platform. And I think both the times I've missed out on the opportunity of really having a conversation with you. And maybe we'll do that next time. And so thanks a lot, Ruchira. And Neeraja, I think it's really great to meet you and know you. And thank you so much. It's really been an honor having both you ladies here. And I think what a morning it's been. So many perspectives, so many ideas. And thanks, Shreya, for conducting. So thank you so much. And I know there is some kind of confusion. You know, people are joining in on the app looking for this session. And so the iOS speakers sessions are happening on Zoom. Where we are only sharing the YouTube link because we are really wanting users to come in and watch it on the YouTube live, whereas the Android speakers sessions are happening on the app. So we've information on the app. And so, yes, we would like to continue the next session, the two sessions that are lined up immediately, Anshul and Nandini. Both of them are happening on the Say Cheese app. So if you're an Android user, please join us on the app directly. And I hope to have you all back, Ruchira and Neeraja, once we've done the iOS launch as well, or hopefully by next week, and you can experience the app yourself. So
definitely. I did go into the app this morning.
Yeah.
Good luck. And I'm sure, with the support that you have from everyone, you will go places.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.